So one of the questions I'm most often asked is how to properly format a web page or a blog post, obviously for users, so users can see it, but also so a search engine can see it. So I figured in this video, I'm going to show you kind of the evolution of a page and how we make it from a page that has some content to a page that's actually formatted for people and for search engines with some thought out keywords. So let's take a look at this page first. Here's just a regular page about cosmetic dentistry in Short Hills, New Jersey. It's 3 paragraphs and they're all the same. They're in Latin, and we do that when we don't want people focusing on the content. We often see that in design for placeholders. So you can understand there are 3 paragraphs here. We don't want you focusing on the content. So let's jump to the HTML code for a minute. And again, you don't need to understand this, why it is. It's kind of how it is. That's what's important. So you can see here that we've got, let's jump into Dreamweaver, which is a coding program. And in design, we can see the exact same pages you saw before. Now let's take a look. Forget about this. Now in the title tag, we have cosmetic dentist, Dr. David Wank. But notice here, we have a paragraph. These are all paragraphs. And all this does, this tells the browser what this is. It's a paragraph, paragraph, paragraph. Okay. So again, we can take a look at the design there, and we see we have a paragraph. And that's pretty straightforward. Now, if we bump into Safari, how can we make this better? Well, I have an idea. Let's go ahead and add these subheadings. Now, what do the subheadings do? Number one, the subheadings break it up for your users. And number two, it gives us a way to reinforce the keywords on the page. So let's assume this is a page about cosmetic dentistry in Short Hills, New Jersey. And we have the title tag here, cosmetic dentist, see Dr. David Wank. That doesn't change. It should probably be cosmetic dentist, Short Hills, New Jersey. Let's say we're optimizing here for cosmetic dentist, Short Hills, New Jersey, and cosmetic dentistry, Short Hills, New Jersey. And of course, we'd mention that in these paragraphs. But what I've done here is I've really, and let's say we haven't done keyword research for whatever reason. What you can do is here, I'm just using my brain. What else can I write about cosmetic dentistry? Well, extra training in cosmetic dental techniques. Dr. Wank has extensive cosmetic dentistry training and blah, 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 blah. Cosmetic dentistry is an art and a science. One of the things that's really important when selecting a cosmetic dentist is thinking about the experience, that people have had. Blah, blah, blah. Dr. Wank has done 10 billion veneers, and, he's been serving Short Hills for 1,000 years, and blah, 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 blah. So I didn't spend too much time. I'm just using my brains thinking, how can I entice people? Extra training, and, it's an art and a science. Great. The problem is that this page isn't very readable, but let's take a look and just see what the code looks like. So remember, in our example number 1, we had, and let's do a split view. You can actually see it a little bit better. So here we have the paragraphs. These are all formatted as paragraphs. So as far as the browser is concerned and a search engine is concerned, this text is of equal importance. So let's take a look at the split view here. Now again, this is where I broke it up. Same thing. I've got a paragraph, and a paragraph. So all I've done really, and this could use a closing tag. So all I've done here, and again, don't worry about that, but all I've done here really is added subheadings. So to break it up for the user. So let's take a look now about what happens next. So if we go here, let's come back to Safari. So what I've done here is I've bolded it. That looks a lot nicer because here, remember, we started here. It's hard for my eyes to read it. We came here and added some subheadings for search engines. Just extra, we'll squeeze in those cosmetic words again, and for people. But then here, much, much better page, right? Okay, so let's take a look at what that code looks like. And let's split it here. Let's see what we have here. So what you're seeing here actually is they're paragraphs, but they're just bold. That's what this strong tag is. Strong is a way of saying bold. So what we've done is we've formatted it by saying, hey, these are still paragraphs, but just make this bold. That's what a strong tag is. And you could leave it like this, but that's not the ideal approach. So what you want to do, and let's come and see here, back to Safari. So let's start again. We're here. Let's break this up, just again, using our brains as dentists to think about what's a good possible keyword there, and made it bold. But now how can we make it so it's even easier for people and better for search engines? And that's how we do that. Now the size doesn't matter, but let's go ahead here and take a look at number 4. So here's number 3, and you can see here, this is a paragraph. See that? Paragraph, paragraph. So this is a paragraph, this is a paragraph. And what that basically tells a search engine or Google, these are paragraphs. So you hear about these header tags and these H1, H2s. Let's take a look now what I did here. What we did here is, and the body shouldn't be there. Okay. Now, over here, this is an H1. Perfect. So that says to Google, think about it kind of like outline format. Number one, and again, we're not thinking of kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're thinking on the level of Roman numeral 1 and Roman numeral 2 kind of in an outline have that same importance. So, Roman numeral 1A is the same level of importance hierarchy as Roman numeral 2A. Whereas, the fact that you have something that's Roman numeral 6, that doesn't mean it's still a section heading. So you can see here, so the primary on this page is going to be the H1. Now, normally an H1 would be actually your page title. So what you might want to do here is say, cosmetic dentistry in Short Hills, New Jersey, might be the page title, and you could say, or cosmetic dentistry, let's say, might be the page title, and then you'd have Dr. David Wank is a cosmetic dentist in Short Hills, New Jersey. And let's come here, and we do not want that to be, again, you don't have to do this. You can actually do this in WordPress, but this is something that your web developer can work with you on. But the point is that when you looked at number 3, they're not really formatted. I'm just saying, hey, this is a paragraph that's bold. That's what the strong tags do. Here, we're actually formatted to say, okay, the title of this page is cosmetic dentistry. Whereas here, this subheading is an H2. This subheading is also an H2. This subheading is an H2. So this here, so even though if you're looking, let's just look in Safari again. Honestly, as someone who's just looking, there's really no difference between this page, that's example 3, and this page, other than the fact that, all these headings are bigger, and that this one's the biggest. So right from a user interface perspective, this is probably formatted a little more nicely just because the page is bigger and we expect that with our eyes. And that's fine. But structurally, there's a big structural difference between this page, number 3, and this page, number 4. Let's look at that again. So remember, in number 3 here, I still broke it up nicely, but these are paragraphs. So they're not that important, relatively speaking. Whereas in example number 4, the most important thing on the page, cosmetic dentistry, is an H1. Now, again, cosmetic dentistry might not actually be the keyword we're searching for, but you can't, the page title really shouldn't be cosmetic dentistry in Short Hills, New Jersey, because it's just over the top. But here, it's about cosmetic dentistry, and if we look at this in a browser, let's take a look and see. And there you go. Now, obviously, this isn't formatted, and I didn't want to format it with a real web page because I wanted to keep the focus on the subject here. But the idea is that this looks a lot nicer. I'd argue these are a little big for these headings, but the point is this is an H1 heading tag, and it says structurally Google. This is the most important thing on this page. H2, this heading is H2. This is also H2. This is also H2. As we saw that here in Dreamweaver, these are H2s. Now, a common mistake is to say, well, all right, if this is an H2, this is an H3, this is an H4, it doesn't work that way. Because an H3 is saying that's less of a level of importance, just like that outline format. If you wanted to make a sub thing that says, let's say, by the way, he also works in Milburn, New Jersey. Let's forget about that comma because I don't want to waste time here. We could go here with an H3 and an H3. So there you go. So now we can save that, and let's just take a look at that in the browser. And you can see, obviously it's smaller because with this style sheet, H1 is the biggest, H2 is next, H3. But notice how, we can even add here, let's say, Dr. Wank works in a lot of locations. One of these is Milburn, New Jersey. So what I'm doing is, forget about my grammar here. But the point is, and this would be about, let's say, about Milburn here. Milburn, blah, blah. But the point here is that, and let's save and take a look, is that, this is the main thing as cosmetic dentistry. H2, this is H2, and the only reason this is an H3 is because this is a subset of this paragraph, right? I'm breaking up this paragraph, so that's why this is an H3. It has nothing to do with the fact that this is first, second, third, fourth, fifth. It's a hierarchical thing. So one of these is Milburn, New Jersey, and we can even go like this. Let's just do here. And and another one is Springfield, New Jersey. So again, also, let's clean up this code a little bit. So also you can see here, and let's save that. These are H3s. And now we're back to an H2. Why? Because, and let's take a look at our browser here, and forget about the spacing, but what you can see here is because Dr. Wank is a cosmetic dentist in Short Hills, and this info about Millburn here and Springfield, you should say Springfield, is kind of a it's a subset of this. Now, obviously, I probably wouldn't want to put Springfield and Millburn on a cosmetic dentistry page about Short Hills. I want to talk about Short Hills. But I want you to understand that this is an H1, this is an H2, and H2 just says we're defining a section. H2, we're defining another section. H3 is another section. I mean, to even make that more clear, you can come here as an art and a science, and you can go like this, let's say. How it's an art. We can make that into an H3. Again, you'll probably be doing this with WordPress, if at all. For most of my clients, we have a style guide. We actually say to you, hold on one second, we'll do that. It's how it's an art and how it's science. And you're going to look here. These are, so this is still an H2, that section. Here's some paragraph text, and here, how it's an art, that's H3. And same thing here, how it's a science, that's H3. Let's save that, and let's come over here and go back to Safari, and you can see, again, forget about that space. So this is H3, this here, but this is H2, but this is, that's H2. This is H3 just because it's a subsection of this section. And that's kind of the point. So, yes, and so that's really the big picture of how we do that. Let's come over there. Okay, so the take-home message is that, so you start here with this web page, and you wind up here with basically the same exact web page, and forget that we added a little bit of content here, but the same exact web page, but we just broke it down into, we added logical subheadings to make it easier for people to read, and let's look at it in Safari. Easier for people to read and easier for search engines to understand what we're talking about, and we just applied the right level of of header tags, and that's all we did. So the next time you write an article for your website, it's probably going to look like this, or more likely it's going to look like, this would probably be, a larger tag. But what you have to say is, okay, so again, I'm not worried about keyword research. I'm writing a blog post about, black lines around crowns. So here's some stuff. So what can I say? So let's make this subheading, are black lines around crowns decay? Do you have to take teeth out that have black lines around crowns? Are they hopeless? What are my options? What are my options for new crowns with black lines? So I just thought of that in my head because it's what I do every day and what you do every day. And that's the point. Now, in terms of a style guide, we'll wrap it up with this, is that what I like to tell our clients is that I don't want you to have to guess what a subheading is going to be, whether it should be H1 or H2. So usually what we would do, and let's just save that so it's cleaner to show you. So what we would do is, once we have a page ready, or a blog post, we're going to say, hey, listen, doc, this is an H1. All subheadings are H2s, and then subheadings are H3s, and that's how you will usually do it. So let's just clean up this page for a minute just so we can make it a little clearer to understand, and we'll actually save that as cosmetic example 5, in case I ever want to come back to this. And let's preview that in the browser. Yeah, so this is probably what we'd show you, and forget about this, and say, okay, all page titles are H1s, the second subheading is an H2, and all these big subheadings are H2s. Anything that's kind of a division of that, something under an H2 is always going to be H3s. Remember, this is not H3 and then H4, because we're just saying the importance of this is a sub-idea. And this is a sub-idea that's completely equal. Just because Springfield is lower on the page than Millburn doesn't make it any less important. These are H3s. This is the level. They're the same level in the outline format. If I put Springfield first and Millburn second, it doesn't matter. They're still both H3s. That's their subsection in the outline. So I hope this is helpful, and I just want you to know that you can take a page like this which is a fine page, with nice content in it, and then move to a page like this that's really well styled and formatted so people can read it. And of course, this is really busy because I'm showing an example, but so people can read it, and so search engines have a better idea of picking up what you want to show them.